Well, welcome, welcome, sweet and delicious mortals. How are we all doing this evening? Are we feeling good? Are we feeling fabulous? Welcome. Oh my goodness. I said silence in the library. All these loud voices around. Who do I have with me this evening for story time? Rashid, Dragon, Kyle. Welcome, Train Master. Welcome, everybody. Nexus, Brand, good evening. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you and welcome in from the rain. I know that it's been a little stormy in my lair today, but we are in the library this evening and I'm so grateful that so many of you are enthusiastic for story time. So, if you will get yourselves comfortable, get yourselves warm, bring yourselves out of that cold weather, and let's get comfortable and relax, shall we? I've been perusing the library today, as a matter of fact, and I mean, as many books that are in here, I have actually found one that took my interest quite immediately. A change of scenery is always good, I agree. It does echo in here, but let's keep the volume to a minimum, shall we? Thank you. Jingo is with us as well. Good evening, Jingo. Mwah. Thank you, Dragon, for your wonderful, affectionate greeting. We will not be doing anything chaotic this evening. Tonight is a night that I prefer to relax and take in my surroundings. Allow the energy of the week to leave me and refresh myself for the days ahead. If you are all keen to do something similar with me, well then, I mean, I think we're going to have a fabulous time this evening. As I said, I was perusing my library and I did actually come across quite an interesting book. It's quite a large and thick book, I'll admit. Plenty of pages to peruse. And as you can hear, it is quite the stormy evening outside, so I'm so glad you're all here in the warmth, in the safety of my lovely library. And if you'll have me, I was thinking of holding somewhat of a story night. Lately I've met many souls with many stories, and those souls told wonderful tales of pantheons throughout the world, of gods and goddesses of different religions and cultures, and my goodness, I was so interested and intrigued that I decided to take an adventure through my library and see if I had anything of a similar interest to delve into, to give my soul to, just for perhaps an evening or two. The booms are loud, but hopefully my dulcet tones are a little louder. And I do have some delicious refreshments and snacks with me this evening, so even though this is a library, even though it is a place of quiet relaxation, I am the Snaccubus after all, and so what would I be if I didn't have a delicious bowl of food ready to fill my tummy at the same time that I fill my mind with tales of ethereal and mythological beings throughout the ethereal and mythological realms. Conjure cheese? And why, in fact, I did. I've been practicing my magic lately, and I thought my pasta this evening would not be as complete if I didn't have some Parmesan cheese on it. So I have, in fact, learned to conjure a sprinkling of Parmesan for my Italian meal this evening. Alluring, yes. With pause and for a greeting sent, Red Panda wishes a stream well spent. To viewers all in the streaming light, may joy and laughter fill your night. And so my gorgeous panda pops in, delivers a beautiful poem, and takes his leave. Mwah. Thank you, Panda, for your glorious words this evening. There is nowhere more appropriate than my library. Why, thank you, Rashid. How lovely you are. My horns, yes, they are one of my more prominent features, I would say. And I do thoroughly enjoy when they are stroked. And alas, once more our paths do meet, with poetry no less, our encounter sweet. I thank the Red Panda for their words, a delight, and wish the Red Panda a good day or night. So many poets in my midst this evening, and the energy is electric. I love it. I am wishing you all the affection and love in the world, my beautiful mortals, and the vibes are on point. Thank you so much for the hugs. As you can see, my lovely mortals, I have in fact used my magic even more so to conjure you back from the void that was so intent on stealing you away from me. I wanted you nice and close to me this evening so I could make sure that all of you were paying attention, that all of you are having a good time, and all of you feel nice and warm and safe in my presence. So, without further ado, I think we might sit down and relax and have a snack or two. For tonight, we know not what the wonders will hold, but let us adventure through these stories of old. There we go, my poetry is on fire as well. The void does make me go a little yandere. I mean, I spend so much time making my lovely lair beautiful and warm for my mortals. Why would I want anything taking you away from me? I need you near me. I have to have you close to me. I don't know what I would do if you weren't. I would feel so lost, so hungry, and I feel like the hunger would be one that could not simply be satiated by snacks. Oh, I thank you, Dragon. I love that you love my voice. Luckily for all of you, you will get to enjoy my dulcet tones for quite a while this evening. I am looking forward very much so to spending the evening travelling through these wonderful tales, these mythological masteries, as you will. Allow me to introduce the book that we will be reading this evening whilst I begin on my pasta. If you have your blankets, please wrap them around you. If you are at work, just relax. You are doing a fabulous job. But your soul is here in spirit with me, and wherever you relax, whichever hearth you lay in front of, just know that tonight you are more than welcome to chat or lurk. Chatters, keep your volume to a minimum in the library, please. And momentarily I will switch on a little music, just to bring in a little bit of extra energy. How does that sound? My mortals, can I ask what music you would like to listen to this evening? Something jazzy, something relaxing, perhaps? I encountered a wonderful mortal recently who conjured a delicious mystical apple juice, and I have been addicted to it ever since. Red roses. I love the smell of roses, and they are one of my favourite flowers. And neck nibbles. Oh, dragon, behave. Jed is late, but right on time. You are absolutely fine. Eating tacos and burritos. Yes, we love it. We love it. As long as you keep your crumbs away from the books, we shall be fine. Ladies and gentlemen, you will find a buffet in the library somewhere. There are free snacks and drinks for all that wish to take some. But there are also serviettes and moist towelettes. Let's keep our environment clean, shall we? Especially since we're in a nice space filled with paper that can be damaged by sticky fingers. And your girl is never one to turn down a sticky finger or two, but my goodness, in my library. Okay. Good boy, Nexus. Impartial, jazzy all over. It was indeed, and it is a beautiful tune that accompanies my entrance. For this eve, I thought perhaps we could either listen to music or just relax to the sound of the rain. It's completely up to you, my mortals. Moist owlets. Hoo-hoo, hoo-hoo. My mortals, I wonder if you know that one of my favourite animals is in fact an owl, and I would consider the barn owl to be one of my totem animals. My delicious mortals, if you had the ability to turn into an animal for just one day, which animal would you choose? Would you explore on four paws, or would you use your wings to fly through the skies? Would you become small so the world around you seems magnanimous in proportion, or would you become something giant so you may take your place of power upon the throne of the animal kingdom? Beautiful as a bird, a beautiful princess, and diamonds are often formed under the most intense of pressures, are they not? Something so precious, formed by pressure. I consider myself to be perhaps a diamond in the rough. I can certainly guarantee you that the stone lodged in the notch of my chest is not a diamond. I know not what it is, but it is quite powerful. If I had the chance to become an animal for one singular day, I would become a dolphin, or a manta ray, or something elegant and graceful and aquatic. And you may be wondering, why, Nessa, you're like Succubus, a lunar naiad, why would you, of all women, want to become an aquatic animal? Well, for starters, when I travel through waters, it's not always the safest passage, I will grant you that. And as much as the animals of the land enjoy my presence, in this form I am a little more approachable, but in the water I travel not with pods of fish or dolphins or sharks or anything of the like. I have even scared off giant squid. Sometimes it can be a lonely life under the waters, so that's why I enjoy being on land, and that's why I think I would enjoy being something lovely and aquatic for the day, so I could spend some time with some lovely aquatic friends once. Thank you so much for the horn patties. Possibly a bird, says Nexus, but a lizard also seems interesting. Yes, lizards are quite the interesting animal, are they not? Able to escape from danger quite easily by choosing to sacrifice a part of themselves, only to have faith that that part will indeed return. Stronger than ever. I am not sure what happens after that second tail. Do lizards keep on growing them? Are they as immortal as I believe them to be? Kyle is content as a lowly little human. Well, that's perfectly fine by me. That means that I shan't get any fur over my legs or spiked by any scales or the like, as you sit by my lovely feet as we read our book this evening. Good evening, Albert. Welcome to the library. Please make yourself comfortable. Maxwell, you as well. Welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you've come in this evening in the warmth from the storm. We have not begun to read our book, so you are just in time. Back and better than ever. I totally believe in that. I have absolute faith that all of you are existing at your biggest and your best. And if you aren't, well, it's a good goal to move towards. Good evening. Rashid would be a lion. Rawr. I do enjoy lions thoroughly. There is a movie that mortals continue to enjoy. A king of lions, as it was, and I find great enjoyment in watching it too. I would almost say that it's possibly one of my favourite movies when I take the time to sit down on land and relax. Once I've overtaken the soul of a mortal in their comfortable home or near a movie theatre, I might do. A reminder as well, and a big thank you to everybody who has given their affection and a thumbs up to the stream this evening. It certainly helps more mortals hear my call that I put out to the realms that I am here and I love spending time with you. Allow me to bring in a little music, not a lot. The librarian won't get angry at me, but I am the librarian, so I'd best set a good example, had I not. I think that we can just relax. A little bit of relaxing lo-fi perhaps. How does that sound? Is the volume in the library good enough for everybody to hear me, even you at the back? Yes, I see you towards the back with your blankets and your snacks. You are looking very comfortable indeed. I am making sure everybody can hear me. Or should I relax the music a little more? Thank you for the affectionate hugs. I appreciate you, Kyle. The leather binding on this book is quite fantastic. A beautiful royal blue colour with gold gilded edges and a lovely selection of pantheons and illustrations throughout. It does have a gold gilded illustration of bullfinch on the cover, and the name of the book that we will be reading this evening is Bullfinch's Mythology. Sounds good. Oh, if only I didn't already have a king. I am my own king. I am also currently a goblin princess and silver succubus and a lunar naiad and a Snaccubus. I have many a title. But queen, my goodness, I don't think I'm quite that royal. But there is a wonderful quote from a wonderful mortal singer named Cher. Very similar to that. Thank you for your affections. Mwah, mwah, mwah. And thank you for your lurking, Nexus. I appreciate you. Just sit back, relax, and listen. I have a dragon, a soldier, a bard. I have many mortals that serve me. My titles are many, and the titles of the mortals that serve me are many. My goodness, there might be a king out there that wants me to be his queen, but as I say, right now I make my own royalty. Now, the pasta is so delicious. The book I will be reading this evening is not my property, and my reading of it is completely my own interpretation, and so I hope you enjoy your time with me this evening. This book, in fact, is quite aged, and so I enjoy that I can indeed share it with you. Lurking. You are absolutely fine, Kyle. Enjoy the vibes. This collection of mythologies includes stories of gods and heroes from the Greek pantheon, the Roman pantheon, Northern mythology, druids, Eastern mythologies, Egyptian deities, monsters, all the way to King Arthur and his knights, the history of the Britons, and the heroic myths of the British race, legends of Charlemagne, and beautiful illustrations and maps, which I will be sharing with you as much as possible visually in perhaps the other area of the library, the server area of the library. So I think we shall begin. At the beginning, why not? Stories of gods and heroes. This evening, I think we shall start with the story of Prometheus and Pandora. Quite a well-known story, in fact, and one that I hope you'll enjoy. I think we'll just sit here this evening, make our way through the book. And if everybody's ready, we are going to begin. Chapter 1, an introduction. Ooh, archive, just in time. Get comfortable, gorgeous. Relax. Reminds you of dancing. How wonderful, I love to dance. And stranger has joined us as well. Welcome in from the warmth. Get comfortable. Now, we shall begin with an introduction. The religions of ancient Greece and Rome are extinct. The so-called divinities of Olympus have not a single worshipper among living men. They belong now not to the department of theology, but to those of literature and taste. There they still hold their place and will continue to hold it, for they are too closely connected with the finest productions of poetry and art, both ancient and modern, to pass into oblivion. We propose to tell the stories relating to them which have come down to us from the ancients, and of which are alluded to by modern poets, essayists, and orators. Our readers may thus at the same time be entertained by the most charming fictions which fantasy has ever created, and put in possession of information indispensable to everyone who would read with intelligence the elegant literature of his own day. Thank you. Thank you. Biscuits on my blankie. You are more than welcome to get comfy at my feet. Rashid. Oh, strange, I wish you luck. I hope you're improved in your health as well. Improving. Yes, modern technologies can be quite the harsh mistress, can they not? In order to understand these stories, it will be necessary to acquaint ourselves with the ideas of the structure of the universe which prevailed among the Greeks, the people from whom the Romans and other nations through them received their science and religion. The Greeks believed the earth to be flat and circular, their own country occupying the middle of it, the central point either being Mount Olympus, the abode of the gods, or Delphi, so famous for its oracle. The circular disk of the Earth was crossed from west to east and divided into 2 equal parts by the sea, as they called the Mediterranean, and its continuation, the Euxine, the only seas with which they were acquainted. I have actually travelled through the Mediterranean many a time, and the Euxine, oh, beautiful area, absolutely. Oh, stranger, umbrellas are quite important. You should always carry one. Even today it has been quite hot around my lair. My mansion, as cool as it is, has barely tolerated the 36-degree heat. So, the storm this evening is quite the surprise. So take it from me, umbrellas are important. Oh my goodness, you have walked a long way. Please sit down and relax. Around the Earth flowed the river Ocean, its course being from south to north on the western side of the Earth, and in a contrary direction on the eastern side. It flowed in a steady, equable current, unvexed by storm or tempest. The sea and all the rivers on Earth received their waters from it. The northern portion of the Earth was supposed to be inhabited by a happy race, named the Hyperboreans, dwelling in everlasting bliss and spring beyond the lofty mountains whose caverns were supposed to send forth the piercing blasts of the north wind, which chilled the people of Greece. Their country was inaccessible by land or sea. They lived exempt from disease or old age, from toils and warfare. On the south side of the Earth, close to the stream of ocean, dwelt a people happy and virtuous as the Hyperboreans. They were named the Ethiopians. The gods favoured them so highly that they were wont to leave at times their Olympian abodes and go to share their sacrifices and banquets. On the western margin of the Earth, by the stream of ocean, lay a happy place named the Elysian Plain, whither mortals, favoured by the gods, were transported without tasting of death, to enjoy an immortality of bliss. And this happy region was also called the Fortunate Fields and the Isles of the Blessed. We see thus that the Greeks of the early ages knew little of any real people, except those to the east and south of their own country, or near the coast of the Mediterranean. Their imagination, meantime, peopled the western portion of this sea with giants, monsters, and enchantresses. I wonder where they might have encountered an enchantress in the western seas. Well, they placed around the disk of the Earth, which they probably regarded as of no great width, nations enjoying the peculiar favour of the gods and blessed with happiness and longevity. The dawn, the sun, and the moon were supposed to rise out of the ocean on the eastern side, and to drive through the air, giving light to gods and men. The stars also, except those forming the wine or bear, and others near them, rose out of and sank into the stream of ocean. There the sun god embarked in a winged boat, which conveyed him round by the northern part of the earth, back to his place of rising in the east. Oh, no, we don't want keyboards to be messy. We don't want books to be messy. We're keeping all our sticky fingers to ourselves this evening, chat. We're keeping all our sticky fingers to ourselves whilst we relax in the library. Hercules requests Rashid. Yes, Hercules is part of Bullfinch's mythology, and you will have to be a patient mortal, for the story after the introduction is of Prometheus and Pandora. Archive has heard quite the tales of sending champions to do quite the interesting labours. Yes, the stories I could tell you about that Hercules fellow, my goodness. The abode of the gods was on a summit of Mount Olympus in Thessaly. A gate of clouds kept by the goddesses, named the Seasons, opened to permit the passage of the celestials to earth and to receive them on their return. The gods had their separate dwellings, but all, when summoned, repaired to the palace of Jupiter, as did also those deities whose usual abode was the earth, the waters, or the underworld. It was also in the great hall of the palace of the Olympian king that the gods feasted each day on ambrosia and nectar, their food and drink, the latter being handed round by the lovely goddess Hebe. Here they conversed of the affairs of heaven and earth, and as they quaffed their nectar, Apollo, the god of music, delighted them with the tones of his lyre, to which the muses sang in responsive strains. When the sun was set, the gods retired to sleep in their respective dwellings. Archive, I agree. Stranger, your company for 5 minutes is worth more than your company for 5 hours. They are in equal amounts, and your presence is a present in itself. I shall wish you the best for whatever the rest of your day holds, my lovely mortal. Mwah. Thank you, dragon, and relax while you lurk in my depths. Indeed, stranger, the original publication of this copy of Bullfinch's mythology was written between 1796 and 1867. This edition was published in 1978, and all rights go to the Crown Publishers. The 3 works popularly known as Bullfinch's mythology were originally written and published separately, in fact. They included The Age of Fable, The Age of Chivalry, and The Legends of Charlemagne, so the fact we have all of them in one wonderful codex is a fantastic gift to receive from the gods themselves, and I am lucky to have it in my library with me. Acty, welcome to the library for the evening. You have not missed a lot. We are currently reading the introduction to Bullfinch's mythology. Keep any snacky, sticky fingers away from the old books, please, but feel free to get something from the buffet. We also have complimentary blankets and pillows, should you wish to relax, and just a little bit of relaxing music this evening to bring you through your evening. Stranger, wishing you all the love and luck for the rest of your evening. I hope you feel better soon. And enjoy your dinner. You wouldn't mind if I take a quick moment to enjoy some delicious pasta. These stories of Greece and Rome are making me quite hungry for the delicacies of Italy. Rashid, why are you worried, dear? Actually, I have not. I shall be enjoying it this evening once I have finished my reading and relaxing. I did see that it is available for my viewing pleasure. I will be enjoying it. Have you, may I ask? I presume you have already enjoyed it. It really is. I love food so much. Absolutely delicious. True colours. He does seem like quite the interesting individual, does he not? And I have known many a doctor in my time, some of them the plague kind, but he seems like quite the interesting physician, if you will. I'm definitely intrigued to see what he shall bring to our side of the universe. Now, where were we? Oh, Kyle, you would like some pasta? Not a problem at all. Head over to the buffet. It's just behind me. Do you see those gears behind me? The buffet is just towards that area. You'll even notice there's a little sitting area. You can sit down and eat some snacks while you're there. The buffet includes, well, it's a magical buffet, so whatever you would like me to conjure for you, I can manage. But this evening we have a selection of pasta, salads, there's varieties of breads and butters, cheeses and accoutrements. We've not got any charcuterie boards, we've not got any of those, but we do have plenty of fruits and dips, drinks. I make a point not to make punch. Minimizes the chances of spiking, but we have a selection of juices and fizz, carbonated drinks. Rashid, I'm not sure I understand. Need extra lessons, Acty. Story's coming along? Yes. Go get yourself some food. Just behind me there to, it would be my right, your left. Head over to the snack bar and get yourself something while we continue with the reading of the book. The robes and other parts of the dress of the goddesses were woven by Minerva, and the graces and everything of a more solid nature was formed of the various metals. Vulcan was architect, smith, armourer, chariot builder, and artist of all work in Olympus. He built of brass the houses of the gods. He made for them the golden shoes with which they trod the air or the water, and moved from place to place with the speed of the wind or even of thought. He also shod with brass the celestial steeds, which whirled the chariots of the gods through the air or along the surface of the sea. Yes, I've had one or two of those run over me in my time. My goodness, now you see why I wish to be a dolphin for a day. They avoid the marine animals, but seem to aim for the big, travelling balls of light in the water. Puppy playtime. I know. Oh, I see. No, we don't really play those kinds of games when we're not in the library. We tend to focus more on fantasy, RPG, adventure, and the more dark, creepy kind of easy sort of approachable horror. Horror with a story. Stora. Thank you for the head patties, Viv, and welcome to the library for the evening. Peeking in to say hello. Well, good evening. Thank you for peeking in. We do have a selection of snacks up the back. Please keep your sticky fingers away from the older books, but feel free to peruse any of the newer section. Let's just all keep away from the restricted area of the library. Don't make me go filch on you. The only fungi I know of is mushrooms. If you're talking about tokens, fungi tokens, I know not of those. Now, where were we? If you will, mortals, if you will concentrate on the delightful goings-on of the gods. He, being Vulcan, the architect, was able to bestow on his workmanship self-motion so that the tripods, such as chairs and tables, could move of themselves in and out of the celestial hall. He even endowed with intelligence the golden handmaidens whom he made to wait on himself. And when I say golden handmaidens, I literally mean made of gold. Jupiter, or Zeus, though called the father of gods and men, had himself a beginning. Saturn, or Kronos, was his father, and Rhea, his mother. Saturn and Rhea were of the race of Titans, who were the children of earth and heaven, which sprang from chaos, all of which we shall give a further account in our next chapter. There is another cosmogony, or account of the creation, according to which Earth, Erebus, and Love were the first of beings. Love, or Eros as he is known, issued from the egg of night, which floated on chaos. By his arrows and torch he pierced and vivified all things, producing life and joy. Oh, and you're ruffling into my blanket is very comfy for me. I'm glad you're comfy. Weaving a world, Kyle, that sounds fantastical. Oh, I'm glad this is inspiring you to weave your own world of fantasy. Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining me, Archive. Thank you for the little blanket affection. I am wishing you so much affection on the rest of your evening. Take care. Saturn and Rhea were not the only Titans. There were others whose names were Oceanus, Hyperion, Iapetius, and Ophion, males, and Themis, Mnemosyne, Eurynomy, females. They are spoken of as the elder gods, which is why you may not recognize their names, whose dominion was afterwards transferred to the others. Saturn yielded to Jupiter, Oceanus to Neptune, Hyperion to Apollo. Hyperion was the father of the sun, moon, and dawn. He is therefore the original sun god and is painted with the splendor and beauty which were afterwards bestowed upon Apollo. Ophion and Eurynomy ruled over Olympus till they were dethroned by Saturn and Rhea. Milton alludes to them in Paradise Lost, a poem which reads, well, perhaps we'll skip the poem. It is a little difficult even for me to understand. These readings are from the late 1700s, mind you. But we have enough poets in our midst this evening regardless. I feel no need for the poetry from Bullfinch's mythology when I have such artistes in my presence. Erebus is the best primordial. Thank you so much for the hugs, Archive. So this pantheon is going way back. So you think everything begins with Zeus. It does not. Zeus had parents, and his parents had parents. And they are referred to in both Greece and Rome by different names. So I understand there may be some confusion, but bear with me. I will be summarizing before we move on. Yes, it's all okay. So whatever we read this evening, I will in fact be summarizing so you can learn as well as enjoy the ambience of the reading itself. You heard Erebus, not Ereviv, but I wonder if your name is based on the primordial himself. The representations given of Saturn are not very consistent. For on the one hand, his reign is said to have been the golden age of innocence and purity, and on the other, he is described as a monster who devoured his children. Jupiter, however, escaped this fate and when grown up, espoused Metis, or Prudence, who administered a draft to Saturn, which caused him to disgorge his children. Jupiter, with his brothers and sisters, now rebelled against their father Saturn and his brothers, the Titans, vanquished them and imprisoned some of them in Tartarus, inflicting other penalties on others. Atlas was condemned to bear up the heavens on his shoulders. On the dethronement of Saturn, Jupiter, with his brothers Neptune, or Poseidon, and Pluto, or Hades, divided his dominions. Jupiter's portion was the heavens, Neptune's the ocean, and Pluto's the realm of the dead. Earth and Olympus were common property. Jupiter was king of gods and men. The thunder was his weapon, and he bore a shield called Aegis, made for him by Vulcan. Maybe Aegis? The eagle was his favourite bird and bore his thunderbolts. Juno, or Hera, was the wife of Jupiter and queen of the gods. Iris, the god of the rainbow, was her attendant and messenger. The peacock was her favourite bird. Vulcan, otherwise known as Hephaestus, the celestial artist, was the son of Jupiter and Juno. He was born lame, and his mother was so displeased at the sight of him that she flung him out of heaven. Other accounts say that Other accounts say that Jupiter kicked him out for taking part with his mother in a quarrel which occurred between them. Vulcan's lameness, according to this account, was the consequence of his fall. He was a whole day falling, and at last alighted in the island of Lemnos, which was thenceforth sacred to him. It is indeed a Greek mythology stream. It's a mythology in general stream. The mortals in my chat the other day were ever so keen on learning a little more about them and discussing it, that I thought what more perfect time than Friday to sit down in the library, find myself one of my oldest mythology books that I have not myself read in its entirety, and read it to you. Thank you so much for the hugs, Rashid. Athena is a goddess, and a beautiful one. Athena is the goddess of warcraft and strategy. Now, we move to Mars, also known as Ares, the god of war, who was the son of Jupiter and Juno. I wonder whether my crowd prefers the Greek names or the Roman names. I do not wish to confuse everybody. So I can stick to Greek or Roman depending. Thank you, Shade. Yes, Acti, you are correct. Apollo was the god of archery, prophecy, and music. He was a son of Jupiter and Latona, and brother of Artemis, also known as Diana. He was the god of the sun, as Diana, his sister, was the goddess of the moon. And I wonder where we've heard about Artemis recently. Could it be that she is my patron deity? Ooh. Ooh. Aphrodite is... she's beautiful, but she's a bitch. Let me just let you know that. Whoosh. Speaking of, Venus, aka Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, was the daughter of Jupiter and Diona. Others say that Venus sprang from the foam of the sea. As a sea-dwelling being, let me tell you, if anything was sprouting from the foam, it certainly was not her. Doesn't even like getting her feet wet. Apparently, the zephyr wafted her along the waves to the Isle of Cyprus, and then led to the assembly of the gods, after she was received and attired by the seasons. All were charmed with her beauty, and each one demanded her for his wife. Jupiter gave her to Vulcan, his lame son that got flung out of Olympus. I shouldn't be summarizing already, I apologize. Jupiter gave her to Vulcan in gratitude for the service he had rendered in forging thunderbolts. So the most beautiful of the goddesses became the wife of the most ill-favored of gods. Aphrodite possessed an embroidered girdle called cestus, which had the power of inspiring love. Her favorite birds were swans and doves, and the plants sacred to her were the rose and myrtle. Cupid, otherwise known as Eros, the god of love, was the son of Venus. If I was to decide, I would go for Greek names. In all honesty, I prefer Greek. as opposed to Roman. So let's just keep the Greek, shall we? Now that we've gone through each and every bloody name. Eros, the god of love, was the son of Aphrodite. He was her constant companion, and armed with bow and arrows, he shot the darts of desire into the bosoms of both gods and men. There was a deity named Anteros, who was sometimes represented as the avenger of slighted love, and sometimes as the symbol of reciprocal affection. Athena, the goddess of wisdom, was the offspring of Zeus without a mother. She sprang forth from his head completely armed. Her favourite bird was the owl, and the plant sacred to her, the olive. Hermes was the son of Zeus and Maya. He presided over commerce, wrestling, and other gymnastic exercises, even over thieving, and everything, in short, which required skill and dexterity. Hermes may end up being a patron god for some of the souls in my chat. He was the messenger of Zeus and wore a winged cap and winged shoes. He bore in his hand a rod entwined with two serpents called the Caduceus? I'm doing the best I can. I would not classify her as an overgrown sperm of Zeus. I would classify her as the most definitive version of #independent woman. If ever we needed a representative for the strong feminine energies, I suppose it would be her, just popping out of his shoulder, just completely armed, with her spear and her shield. Little owl flying by her side. Oh, thank you, Agdi. I appreciate you. This juice is delicious, by the way. If any of you wish to refill your juice or your snacks, please remember that the buffet is located behind me. To my right, your left. It's under the gears, where Glomp is. Just walk past Glomp and there's food. Absolutely delicious. Hermes is said to have invented the lyre. He found one day a tortoise, of which he took the shell, made holes in the opposite edges of it, and drew cords of linen through them. And the instrument was complete. The chords were 9 in honor of the 9 muses. Hermes gave the lyre to Apollo and received from him in exchange the Caduceus. From this origin of the instrument, interestingly, the word shell is often used as synonymous with lyre, and figuratively for music and poetry. So a shell itself is quite representative of the arts. Poetry, musicality. Perhaps that's why I enjoy collecting shells. I enjoy walking across the beach and finding sea glass and really interesting shells and bringing them back to my lair and sorting them out into a special little box. And in that little box I have quite the A beautiful little collection that I like to save. Look, it's a rare occurrence that I find stuff on land that's better than underwater. It's very dark under there sometimes, my goodness. So a little stroll across the beach is nothing for me. You need to get out of yours. Well, shells are synonymous with the word lyre, L-Y-R-E, the instrument lyre, and so synonymous with the arts and musicality itself. So being in your shell might not be a bad thing. No, Zeus did not. Heaven nor hell are not really concepts within the Greek mythos. That refers to Olympus, essentially, and the underworld. But only gods may inhabit Olympus. I wouldn't really call it a heaven. That's where they have the like their other areas for designated into the as you might remember or might not, the Greeks thought of their map of the world as completely flat, a round disc with Mount Olympus in the middle and the underworld underneath the flat disc. So that flat disc was divided into 4 equal sections. Within the middle was Olympus, and then the north, south, east and western portions all contained different races and varieties of people, of which there is an area and race that was comparative to their version of heaven. So I will be properly summarizing at the end of the introduction. I know it can be quite a lot. Demeter was the daughter of Saturn and Rhea. She had a daughter named Persephone, who became the wife of Hades and queen of the realms of the dead. Demeter presided over agriculture. Dionysus, the god of wine, was the son of Zeus and Samael. He represents not only the intoxicating power of wine, but its social and beneficent influences likewise, so that he is viewed as the promoter of civilization and a lawgiver and lover of peace. The Muses were the daughter of Zeus and Memory. They presided over song and prompted the memory. They were 9 in number, to each of whom were assigned the precedence over some particular department of literature, art, or science. For example, the muse Calliope was the muse of epic poetry, Clio of history, there's quite a few of them. We shan't go through all 9, but there are 9 muses, and all 9 of the muses relate to some area of either astronomy, comedy, sacred poetry, love poetry, dance and song, tragedy, history. They are magnificent. The Graces were goddesses presiding over the banquet, the hall, and all social enjoyments and elegant arts. They were 3 in number. Their names were Euphrosyne, Aglaia, and Thalia. The Fates were also 3, Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos. Their office was to spin the thread of human destiny, and they were armed with shears, with which they cut it off when they pleased. They were the daughters of Law, who sat by... I will need to figure out who Jove was. I forget. Who sat by Jove on his throne to give him counsel. Oh, Hades? Give me a second. Give me a second. You're gonna have to... One second. Jove is... We forget, but it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. We can't really remember. Thank you for the like, Smith Bender. I appreciate you. Anyway, the Fates sat by Jove on his throne to give him counsel, whoever he was. The Furies were 3 goddesses who punished by their secret stings the crimes of those who escaped or defied public justice. The heads of the Furies were wreathed with serpents, and their whole appearance was terrific and appalling. Their names were Alecto, Tisiphone, and Megara. They were also called Eumenides. Hades were... Hades is Pluto, not Jove, so I am unsure as to who Jove is. If you will give me, give me a second to clarify. Let me consult the book a little further. Oh, this book and its many names for a singular god is absolutely ridiculous. Jove is Jupiter, who is Zeus. My thorough apologies, my delicious mortals. The Fates sat by Zeus upon his throne to give him counsel. Thank you, thank you. Nemesis was an avenging goddess. She represents the righteous anger of the gods, particularly towards the proud and insolent. Pan was the god of flocks and shepherds. His favourite residence was in Arcadia. The satyrs were deities of the woods and fields, their heads decorated with short sprouting horns and their feet like goats' feet. Momus was the god of laughter and Plutus the god of wealth. It explains after this Roman deities and their perceptions, which, in all honesty, will only confuse things more if I introduce you to further gods and goddesses. But I will say, the Romans believed that every man had his genius and every woman her Juno. That is, a spirit who had given them being and was regarded as their protector through life. And on their birthdays, men made offerings to their genius and women to their Juno. So, if you'll have me, I will quickly summarize and then stretch and hydrate. Ooh. as lovely and comfortable as it is in my library, oh, I can get a little too interested with reading. Allow me instead, if you will, to take a wander, and I shall return to you in 5 minutes, perhaps. I think I might get myself some snacks and juice from the buffet as well. So stay comfy in your blankies, make sure that you are stretching and hydrating as well, and if you'll allow me, I will return to you momentarily. And it's my library, so as much as I said the music can't be too loud, I might just turn it up a little to fill the silence in my absence. I shall return to you soon, my delicious mortals. And we are back. Bam. I have returned. Thank you for being so patient in the meantime with me, my sweet and delicious souls. I apologize for taking so long, but there was a spider trying to make its way into one of my rooms, and so I had to make sure, because he was not prepared to pay rent, I had to make sure I vacated him from the premises. So thank you for being patient with me. Welcome back, welcome back. Now, I believe that I was summarizing what was going on through all the garbled nonsense I feel like I just gave you. Let me properly summarize. Now, many of the gods and goddesses were referenced with their Roman names, but we are focusing on Greek. Make it pay rent, dominate him. I did. I squished him real good. We begin with the original Titans, the primordials, if you will. We have Chaos, Erebus, and Pontus. Now, Pontus is referenced as Gaia. Yes, Mother Nature. Now, from Chaos and Erebus came Ether and Temera, all the way down until they ended up having the Titans. And then after the Titans that came from them, we had Ray, who then gave us Zeus and Hera. Yes, they were brother and sister. Zeus and Hera then gave us, I don't know how many they gave us, but there are many generations. Ah, yes, here we go. Hera gave us Hebe, Ares, and Hephaestus. Zeus also had relations with Leto, which gave us Apollo and Artemis. His relationship with Diona gave us Aphrodite. His relationship with Maya gave us Hermes, and his relationship with Semele gave us Dionysus. He also had another 5 relationships after that, which produced the Hours, the Fates, the Goddess of Justice. He also produced the 9 Muses, the 3 Graces, Persephone, and Hercules. He has been a very, very, very busy god. And mind you, all these gods and goddesses, all these sons, daughters, and brothers and sisters of Zeus resided in Mount Olympus. The 3 primary gods you may be familiar with are Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. Now, Poseidon rules the seas, Hades rules the underworld, Zeus rules over Mount Olympus, the realms of gods and men. These 3 brothers were the ones that came from Kronos, their version of Gaia, but essentially Gaia is one of the original primordials, so it can get a little confusing. But be aware that most of the key gods and goddesses that you know have formed from Zeus's relations with various goddesses and humans. His brothers and sisters have not actually produced notable pantheons and stories, I will say that. Someone is going to sleep. Good night, good night. Mwah. Thank you so much, Dragon. I appreciate you. Everyone reading this, favorite Pokemon? Vulpix. So, all those gods and goddesses are fabulously residing in Mount Olympus in the very center of what the Greeks believe to be what the world is. That is divided into 4 parts. So, the northern portion of the earth was inhabited by the Hyperboreans, of which their northern section birthed the wind. On the south side of the earth were the Ethiopians. They were favoured by the gods. And then on the western margin of the earth, we had the Elysian Plain, which is essentially heaven, or Valhalla, if you will. So this happy region, the Isle of the Blessed, happy place where with immortals favoured by the gods were transported without tasting of death to enjoy an immortality of bliss. And so whatever oceans they weren't familiar with were essentially filled with giants and monsters. But there we have the north, south, east and west. So essentially the east is where they inhabited. The north were Hyperboreans, the south were Ethiopians, and the west was the Elysian Plains, which is essentially heaven. So weird, huh? A lot to listen, a lot to learn. Good night, Nexus. Enjoy your rest. Mwah. Thank you so much for the huggies. And thank you for joining me this evening. I appreciate you. Well, Acti, we cannot have a Ninetales without a Vulpix. Am I not correct in that assumption? Oh, and I can borrow your bookmark. Thank you so much, Nexus. Thank you. Thank you for the bookmark and for the super. Your generous gift means a lot. Thank you. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. Mwah. Absolute MVP. I will let you know. Big shout out. That is his 5th super chat to me. So thank you, Nexus. You're a real one. Mwah. We are still in Greece for the moment. We shall be travelling to the Nordic realms at one stage, but I hardly think this evening is appropriate for that. Let's just hang out in Greece, shall we? Let's just keep on hanging out in Greece and seeing what else comes up. Oh my goodness, there's my alert sound. Wonderful. I hope that wasn't too loud for you, chat. I am still altering my little magical things. Absolute MVP. So, are we all feeling good about kind of the little who does what and whomst is whom sort of thing? It can get a little confusing, but Heracles or Hercules is not actually a he's way down in the family tree ladder of that whole scenario, so he's probably one of the heroes you are most familiar with, but he was not one of the firstborn, so there you go. Love the small cute fox rather than... I love them both, and I think I love the fact that something so small and cute turns into something so deadly and with so much lore behind it. You guys did not you guys probably didn't realize that when I made my, well, when I conjured my kitsune form, I totally forgot that each tail represents 100 years on the mortal realm, or the mortal planes. So that was something new that educated me. Let's go. So I think that the lore of Nine Tails herself, just fabulous. But we cannot have a wonderful creation such as Nine Tails without the original Vulpix. Always like Nine Tails, Rush Shaky, let's go. Love shiny Ninetales. Snorlax is Dragon's favourite Pokemon. Oh, I do love Snorlax. I have a big Snorlax blankie as well. I'm hoping I haven't missed anything in chat either. Let me just make sure now we're all good. We're fine. How are we all feeling? How are we all feeling, my beautiful mortals? You feeling good? Now, after we've established who's doing what and why they're doing it, we can actually move on to chapter 2, which is beginning with the story of Prometheus and Pandora. Now this will be quite interesting to you. So what I just gave you was the general summary of kind of a little bit of from creation to up until now. Snorlax plushie, let's go. That's so cute. Red Nuzlocke, very cool. Now, Prometheus and Pandora. Who's familiar with either of these? Venusaur. Oh, I love Bulbasaur as well. Bulbasaur is one of my favourites too. It would be Vulpix, Bulbasaur, and... oh, don't make me pick a third, I don't know that many. The creation of the world is a problem naturally fitted to excite the liveliest interest of man, its inhabitant. The ancient pagans, not having the information on the subject, which we derive from the pages of scripture, had their own way of telling the story, which is as follows. Acti's familiar with them, we love it. Kalumi. Grab a blankie, take a seat. If you want any snacks or drinks, I do have a buffet located just behind me, just behind Glomp. Thank you for your company this evening and welcome to the library. We are currently reading Bullfinch's mythology and having a nice relaxing time. Now, the pagans. The pagan story. Before earth and sea and heaven were created, all things wore one aspect, to which we give the name of chaos. A confused and shapeless mass, nothing but dead weight, in which, however, slumbered the seeds of things. Earth, sea, and air were all mixed up together. So the earth was not solid, the sea was not fluid, and the air was not transparent. God and nature at last interposed and put an end to this discord, separating earth from sea and heaven from both. The fiery part, being the lightest, sprang up and formed the skies. The air was next in weight and place. The earth being heavier sank below, and the water took the lowest place and buoyed up the earth. Here some god, it is not known which, gave his good offices in arranging and disposing the earth. He appointed rivers and bade their places, raised mountains, scooped out valleys, distributed woods, fountains, fertile fields and stony plains. The air being cleared, the stars began to appear, Fishes took possession of the sea, birds of the air, and four-footed beasts of the land. But a nobler animal was wanted, and man was made. It is not known whether the Creator made him of divine materials, or whether in the earth, so lately separated from heaven, there lurked still some heavenly seeds. Prometheus took some of this earth, and kneading it up with water, made man in the image of the gods. It gave him an upright stature, so that while all other animals turned their faces downwards and looked to the earth, man would raise his to heaven and gaze upon the stars. Prometheus was one of the Titans, a gigantic race, who inhabited the earth before the creation of man. To him and his brother Epimetheus was committed the office of making man, and providing him and all other animals with the faculties necessary for their preservation. Epimetheus, Epimetheus undertook to do this, and Prometheus was to overlook his work. When it was done, Epimetheus accordingly proceeded to bestow upon the different animals the various gifts of courage, strength, swiftness, sagacity, wings to one, claws to another, a shelly covering to a third, and on it went. But when man came to be provided for, who was to be superior to all other animals, Epimetheus had been so prodigal of his resources that he had nothing left to bestow upon him. In his perplexity, he resorted to his brother Prometheus, who, with the aid of Minerva, went up to heaven and lighted his torch at the chariot of the sun, and brought down fire to man. With his gift, man was more than a match for all other animals. It enabled him to make weapons wherewith to subdue them, tools with which to cultivate the earth, to warm his dwelling so as to be comparatively independent of climate, and finally to introduce the arts and to coin money, the means of trade and commerce. Woman was not yet made. The story, absurd enough, is that Zeus made her and sent her to Prometheus and his brother to punish them for their presumption in stealing fire from heaven, and man for accepting the gift. I love that my little mortals are having conversations about Pokemon. I love it because I can't relate except for Mewtwo. That is a Pokemon that I have heard of, and my lovely mortal Rain is in the building. Welcome, Rain. Welcome this evening. I hope you're doing well. I hope you are feeling fab. If you would like to, we have complimentary snacks and blankies available for all the delicious mortals joining the story time this evening. The buffet table is located just behind me, to my right, your left. You'll also find the blankies and pillows there. You can take a seat in the little sitting area or curl up at my feet. It is up to you, as long as you're relaxed and enjoying the vibes. The first woman was named Pandora. She was made in heaven, every god contributing something to perfect her. Aphrodite gave her beauty, Hermes persuasion, Apollo music, etc. Thus equipped, she was conveyed to earth and presented to Epimetheus, who gladly accepted her, and presented, though cautioned by his brother to beware of Zeus and his gifts. Epimetheus had in his house a jar, in which were kept certain noxious articles, for which, in fitting man for his new abode, he had no occasion. Pandora was seized with an eager curiosity to know what this jar contained, and one day she slipped off the cover and looked in. Forthwith escaped a multitude of plagues for hapless man, such as gout, rheumatism, and colic for his body, envy, spite, and revenge for his mind, and scattered themselves far and wide. Pandora hastened to replace the lid, but alas, the whole components of the jar had escaped. One thing only excepted, which lay at the bottom, and that was hope. So we see at this day, whatever evils are abroad, hope never entirely leaves us, and while we have that, no amount of other ills can make us completely wretched. Take the entire buffet? Oh, not a problem at all. I am magic, so I can easily summon some more. Which snacks would you like? Any requests? Any recommendations? I can summon some more snacks if we need. If the buffet empties, it's okay. Another story is that Pandora was sent in good faith by Zeus to bless man, that she was furnished with a box containing her marriage presents, into which every god had put some blessing. She opened the box incautiously, and the blessings all escaped, hope only accepted. This story seems more probable than the former, for how could hope, so precious a jewel as it is, have been kept in a jar full of all manner of evils, as in the former statement? The world being thus furnished with inhabitants, the first age was an age of innocence and happiness, called the Golden Age. Truth and right prevailed, though not enforced by law, nor was there any magistrate to threaten or punish. The forest had not yet been robbed of its trees to furnish timbers for vessels, nor had men built fortifications round their towns. There were no such things as swords, spears, or helmets. The earth brought forth all things necessary for man, without his labour in ploughing or sowing. Perpetual spring reigned, flowers sprang up without seed, the rivers flowed with milk and wine, and yellow honey distilled from the oaks. Then succeeded the Silver Age, inferior to the golden, but better than that of brass. Zeus shortened the spring and divided the year into seasons. Then first man had to endure the extremities of heat and cold, and houses became necessary. Caves were the first dwellings, and leafy coverts of the woods, and huts woven of twigs. Crops would no longer grow without planting. The farmer was obliged to sow the seed, and the toiling ox to draw the plough. Next came the Brazen Age, more savage of temper and readier to the strife of arms, yet not altogether wicked. The hardest and worst was the Iron Age. Crime burst in like a flood. Modesty, truth, and honour fled. In their places came fraud and cunning, violence, and the wicked love of gain. Then seamen spread sails to the wind, and the trees were torn from the mountains to serve for keels and ships, and vexed the face of ocean. The earth, which till now had been cultivated in common, began to be divided off into possessions. Men were not satisfied with what the surface produced, but must dig into its bowels, and draw forth from thence the ore of metals. Mischievous iron and more mischievous gold were produced. War sprang up, using both as weapons. The guest was not safe in his friend's house, and sons-in-law and fathers-in-law, brothers and sisters, husbands and wives could not trust one another. Sons wished their fathers dead, that they might come to the inheritance. Family love lay prostrate. The earth was wet with slaughter, and the gods abandoned it one by one, till Astrea alone was left, and finally she also took her departure. Goodbye, Agti. Thank you so much for joining me this evening, and enjoy your food and enjoy your own stream. I will tune into it if I am able, which I should hopefully be. Thank you so much for the likes, little bro. Where were we? Zeus, seeing this state of things, burned with anger. He summoned the gods to council. They obeyed the call and took the road to the palace of heaven. The road, which anyone may see in a clear night, stretches across the face of the sky and is called the Milky Way. Along the road stands the palaces of the illustrious gods. The common people of the skies live apart, on either side. Zeus addressed the assembly. He set forth the frightful condition of things on earth, and closed by announcing his intention to destroy the whole of its inhabitants, and provide a new race, unlike the first, who would be more worthy of life and much better worshippers of the gods. So saying, he took a thunderbolt and was about to launch it at the world, and destroy it by burning. But, recollecting the danger that such a conflagration might set to heaven itself on fire, he changed his plan and resolved to drown it. The north wind, which scatters... I apologize, I lost my place. The north wind, which scatters the clouds, was chained up. The south was sent out, and soon covered all of the face of heaven with a cloak of pitchy darkness. The clouds, driven together, resound with a crash. Torrents of rain fall, the crops are laid low, the year's labour of the husbandman perishes in an hour. Zeus, not satisfied with his own waters, called on his brother Poseidon, I apologize, to aid him with his. He let loose the rivers and pours them over the land. At the same time, he heaves the land with an earthquake and brings in the reflux of the ocean over the shores. Flocks, herds, men, and houses are swept away, and temples with their sacred enclosures profaned. If any edifice remained standing, it was overwhelmed, and its turrets lay hid beneath the waves. Now all was sea without shore. Here and there an individual remained on a projecting hilltop, and a few in boats pulled the oar where they had lately driven the plough. The fishes swim among the treetops. The anchor is let down into a garden, where the graceful lambs played but now unwieldy sea calves gambol. The wolf swims among the sheep. The yellow lions and tigers struggle in the water. The strength of the wild boar serves him not, nor his swiftness the stag. The birds fall with weary wing into the water, having found no land for a resting place. Those living beings whom the water spared fell a prey to hunger. Parnassus alone, of all the mountains, overtopped the waves, and there Deucalion and his wife Pyrrha, of the race of Prometheus, found refuge. He a just man, and she a faithful worshipper of the gods. Zeus, when he saw none left alive but this pair, and remembered their harmless lives and pious demeanour, ordered the north winds to drive away the clouds and disclose the skies of the earth, and earth to the skies. Poseidon also directed Triton to blow on his shell and sound a retreat to the waters. The waters obeyed, and the sea returned to its shores, and the rivers to their channels. Then Deucalion thus addressed Pyrrha. O wife, only surviving woman, joined to me first by the ties of kindred and marriage, and now by a common danger, would that we possessed the power of our ancestor Prometheus, and we could renew the race as he had first made it. But we cannot. Let us seek yonder temple and inquire of the gods what remains for us to do. They entered the temple, deformed as it was with slime, and approached the altar, where no fire burned. There they fell prostrate on the earth and prayed the goddess to inform them how they might retrieve their miserable affairs. The oracle answered, I'm so sorry, I keep losing my place. The oracle answered, Depart from the temple with head veiled and garments unbound, and cast behind you the bones of your mother. And they heard the words with astonishment. Pyrrha first broke silence. We cannot obey. We dare not profane the remains of our parents. They sought the thickest shades of the wood and revolved the oracle in their minds. At length, Deucalion spoke. Either my sagacity deceives me, or the command is one we may obey without impiety. The earth is the great parent of us all. The stones are her bones. These we may cast behind us, and I think this is what the oracle means. At least, it will do us no harm to try. They veiled their faces, unbound their garments, and picked up stones and cast them behind them. The stones, wonderful to relate, began to grow soft and assume shape. By degrees, they put on a rude resemblance to the human form, like a block half finished in the hands of the sculptor. The moisture and slime that were about them became flesh. The stony part became bones. The veins remained veins, retaining their name, only changing their use. Those thrown by the hand of the man became men, and those by the woman became women. It was a hard race and well adapted to labour, as we find ourselves to be at this day, giving plain indications of our origin. Past midnight, thank you so much for hanging out as long as you have been, Jed. I appreciate you. Rashid would love my wings to return. Of course you would, but unfortunately I worry that I might knock some of my books off of my shelves should I unleash my wings this eve. Besides, I was a little lost in the beginning and totally forgot to ask the universe for a winner, so I apologize that this evening I have only been in my regular armoured garments, but there have been so many of you wonderful souls. I didn't want to interrupt the way to the buffet with wings. That would be very rude of me. Seriously sucked into creativity. We love it. That is exactly where you need to be. That is the perfect place to be. But yes, see you next time, Jed. I will see you next week, and I hope you have a safe weekend. Rest well. Rest well. Sucked into creativity is a wonderful place to be. Right, where were we? The comparison of Eve to Pandora is too obvious to have escaped hold on this sorry. The comparison of Eve to Pandora is too obvious for this poet to escape, who introduces it in this poem. More lovely than Pandora, whom the gods endowed with all their gifts, and oh, too like in sad event, when to the unwist sun, brought by Hermes, she ensnared mankind with her fair looks, to be avenged on him who had stole Zeus's authentic fire. A very ballsy statement to say that Eve is the better of the two in regards to Pandora. It depends on your version of events. Prometheus and Epimetheus had been a favourite subject with the poets. Prometheus himself is represented as a friend of mankind who interposed in their behalf when Zeus was incensed against them, and who taught them civilization and the arts. But as, in so doing, he transgressed the will of Zeus, he drew down on himself the anger of the ruler of gods and men. Zeus had Prometheus chained to a rock on Mount Caucasus, I apologize. He chained to a rock on Mount Caucasus, where a vulture preyed on his liver, which renewed as fast as it was devoured. This state of torment might have been brought to an end at any time by Prometheus, if he had been willing to submit to his oppressor, for he possessed a secret which involved the stability of Zeus's throne, and if he would have revealed it, he might have been at once taken into favour. But that he disdained to do so. He has therefore become the symbol of magnanimous endurance of unmerited suffering and strength of will resisting oppression. Titan, to those immortal eyes, the sufferings of mortality, seen in their sad reality, were not as things that gods despise. What was thy pity's recompense? A silent suffering and intense, the rock, the vulture, and the chain, all that the proud can feel of pain, the agony they do not show, the suffocating sense of woe. Thy godlike crime was to be kind, to render with thy precepts less the sum of human wretchedness, and strengthen man within his own mind, and baffled as thou wert from high, still in thy patient energy, in the endurance and repulse of thine impenetrable spirit, which earth and heaven could not convulse, a mighty lesson we inherit. Or, like thief of fire from heaven, wilt thou withstand the shock, and share with him the unforgiven, his vulture and his rock? Now, the story that we will be moving on with next time leads us to chapter 3, which is Apollo and Daphne, Pyramus and Thisba, Cephalus and Procris. Note that I said Cephalus. It is a god. Cephalus. Don't be coming in here being like, Nessa, did you say something to me? Apollo is indeed the brother of Artemis, and Daphne is his... Daphne's obviously his missus, but I want to see where Daphne relates to in the family tree of things. You've been so well behaved this evening, my lovely mortals. You've kept your sticky fingers away from the books. You have been listening very intently, very quietly and very intently. You've absolutely been fabulous, and I think you're such good boys and girls. I think you're so well behaved. Now, where does Daphne fit into the grand scheme of things? Daphne is obviously the Roman name, and next time I'm sure we'll find out just who this mystery woman is. Interesting stream of reading. Interesting to hear. I appreciate it. Thank you. I thought that something as creative as this would give me a chance to flex my grammatical muscles, and I apologize profusely for any names that I have butchered or places that I have lost this evening, but it is quite a big book with quite small print, and your girl doesn't have the biggest muscles. Perhaps I need to get a little book stand thing to hold my book for me so I don't have to use my strength. Bran enjoyed listening. That's wonderful. Your own creative fires have been stoked and your story is beginning to flow. Oh, that makes me so happy to hear. That genuinely warms my heart. It must be the fires of creativity warming them. I do thoroughly enjoy reading. It's always been a favourite pastime of mine, and I will let you know that this is the first book that I have read in quite a long time. Let me tell you that I was not even aware of how much time had passed before I had gotten up to have a stretch and a rehydrate. Speaking of which, running out of brain juice. Oh goodness, no. The silver succubus and her brain juices are only just getting started, baby. You all have no idea what 2024 holds for us, and I am thoroughly looking forward to adventuring through the future with a little glimpse into the past, especially with the mythologies of the world, don't you think? I truly believe that education and knowledge is something that can not only inspire the muse within us, but can lead to little knowledge nuggets that you can feed to other people at other stages and perhaps stoke their creative fires. Oh, I'm sending you so much affection, Dragon. Thank you. Interesting to see, indeed. Let me mark my place in my book. Let me go get one of my bookmarks. Ooh! Sorry, I just got so excited over my bookmark. Here we go, adds charms on the end of it. Okay, let me put you there. And I think perfect. A little memento to put in the server at a later stage. Yes, absolutely. That is what the server is there for. Reminder to everyone that there are multiple channels in there to post your creative endeavors. But yes, I have bookmarked the page. I know not when we shall continue this little reading section. Perhaps it will be next week, perhaps it will be in a month. We shall see what the future holds, but for this evening, my fantastic and delicious mortals, I have enjoyed your presence immensely. And you can feel free to take some snacks with you. The complimentary blankies. Feel free. I could just summon more. Should you require an Uber for your way home, I can indeed see if there is one available for you that comes out this far, but I could probably just do the old Harry Potter trick and floop out of your home. Here we go. Go for it. All you have to do now, concentrate on home and ye shall be there. My delicious mortals, we shall meet again soon, but thank you so much for spending this evening in the library with me. I have enjoyed it immensely. I really, really have. I will see you next week on Tuesday at 10 PM JST for my next stream. We will be moving back into the gaming room of the manor to continue on with Little Nightmares too, but until that day, thank you so much for the hugs. Mwah, thank you so much for the kisses, and thank you for the horn strokes. I appreciate you so much, guys, for your presence, and I will see you next time. Please be safe over the weekend. I will miss you ever so much. I'll see you next week. Goodbye. Mwah.